going from kinder to first. It's kind of been likened to going from elementary to middle school. So, but that just might be your anxiety. Miss Malloy is going to tell you where the real concerns might lie and tell you where you can put your mind at ease. So, thank you for coming, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Hi. Thanks for coming. I'm looking around to see if I see a few familiar faces. Lots of new kindergartners without older siblings. That's beautiful. Well, welcome. And I bring greetings from Mrs. Becerra and Ms. LaBelle and Ms. Ornstein. And so I'm here to represent the magnificent first grade team. It's a big change from kindergarten to first grade. And there's so many things that happen. And at first I thought I'd do this grandiose PowerPoint presentation for you, and with all the standards and all the everything. And then I quickly realized that it would either scare you to tears or bore you to tears. So I opted not to put you through that. And a lot of times in presentations like that, you can't even see them anyway. So I did prepare a packet for you, and I'll pass that out in a little bit. And mainly I just wanted to go over a few things with you about first grade, about this big jump that you're going to make with your children. And then I'd like to give time to see if you have some questions for me. Because I think a lot of times the best information comes from questions that you might have. So it's real important to understand where first grade fits in a child's scope of learning. And I'm talking from preschool experiences to grad school and beyond. And first grade truly is one of the most important years that your child will ever spend in school. It's the key foundational year for all of the years that follow, so that if a child does not get everything they need in first grade, there's going to be struggles along the way because there's going to be some holes in the learning. And their learning may not hold up as strong as we want because something's been missed there at this pivotal part. Pretty much everything your child learns in all grades of school begins in first grade. The warm-up is kindergarten, and then you get first grade. So it is a really, really big change. It's filled with discovery and wonder and excitement and a ton of learning. But I want to assure you that all of the first grade teachers, and we are all parents, they're parents, I'm parents, and I'm a grandparent too, and I have a granddaughter who happens to be in first grade this year. Well, I have a grandson who's graduating from high school too, and some in between. But because we so relate to these little ones, we've had them ourselves, we take this first grade teaching very seriously. It's a really big responsibility. We are fully aware of kind of the power that we wield over these young children. You know, they kind of think we walk on water. And so we're always cognizant of that. We always do everything we can to present things in such a way that it's positive and helpful. And we are all very grateful for the opportunity to teach first grade. All four of us teach first grade by choice. And what I mean by that is that we could all, except for one teacher who doesn't have enough seniority, but we could all select at this point pretty much to teach other grades that we wanted to. First grade is not a grade that a lot of teachers want to teach. I'll just put that out there. They pretty much want to run from first grade. I don't understand that because I think it's just the best gift in the world that I have ever gotten to be able to do this. And this is a very second career for me. So I lived a whole other life in business and everything else, and always wanted to teach. After my own children were finished with college, I went back and got a teaching credential and started to teach. And I'm grateful every day for this opportunity. You get, as a teacher, it is demanding to teach first grade. It is a lot of high energy, and I bet you know that from the one, maybe we have twins too at home, so now you times that by 20 or 25, and that's kind of the energy field you're dealing with. But you get, as a teacher, your biggest bang for your buck, because you are never, ever in your life going to see this much learning right in front of you in 1 year as you have and you're going to get to see that too. We are fully aware that these children are also still babies in many ways. I want to reassure you that there's lots of opportunities for fun and for play and for drama, and right now you're in the throes of the all first grade play production, which is going to be Wednesday, next Wednesday. Every single first grader is performing in our play, American Symbols on Parade. So we do a lot of other activities. We build a lot of these activities into the curriculum so that, to me, the most important thing for a first grader is that learning is not fun. If it's not fun, why do you want to come to school? I mean, figure it out. When you're 5, 6, or 7, and they're saying, you're going to go this place every day, and you're going to spend most of your day there, and there isn't a fun element to it, I wouldn't want to come. So we do everything we can to always keep that in mind too. As far as curriculum, you are all well aware, and I know you've all heard Common Core. It was a big jump. We've made that jump in first grade. In K and first grade, we have completely implemented Common Core in math and language arts and all the other curricular areas too. It's been a big task. We are continuing to learn and grow. We work together very closely in first grade. We collaborate together. All of us feel that we do not just teach one class of children. All of the children in first grade belong to the 4 of us as a team. We help each other with difficulties or with struggles that a child might be having. So your first grade teacher, whatever class your child is in, is also taking care of your children too if they don't happen to be in that class. So I just wanted to let you know that too. The other thing about first grade is that we move at a pace very different than kindergarten. I mean, we are moving and it's not stopping. Therefore, it's really difficult if a child misses any school. There's a family emergency, an illness, of course. But if you could save your trips to Disneyland and cruises or back east to see grandma for the summer or winter break or spring break, that would be really helpful. Because unless you get to pack one of first grade teachers in your suitcases, we can give you all the paperwork you want, but there's going to be a lot of learning going on, and there's learning loss, even in one day. So we would really appreciate the best attendance that you can possibly have. On the other hand, please don't send your children to school with a fever. and we've had quite a bit of that this week. And I understand that the challenge is when both parents are working and you have a sick child, it can get really difficult. However, if you send them to school, they're probably coming back home. And it's kind of traumatizing for them. So I just like to throw that out there. These are, I'll get back to the standards of first grade. The change to Common Core has gotten a lot of publicity, and it's not all good. And there are areas of it that the teachers on this staff and throughout the country are concerned about and are addressing. But for the most part, Common Core standards is pretty much common sense. We're very fortunate to be in California in that we have always had the most rigorous standards in the United States as far as education goes, public education goes. So this switch to Common Core is not that different. It's not that different in what we are teaching. There are some standards that have changed from one grade to another because it was discovered and they were right. That some things that we were teaching in certain grades weren't really developmentally where these children needed to be. For instance, in first grade we taught money, all aspects of money. Now that is in the seventh grade. And so there have been some changes like that. It's not so much about what we teach, but it is about how we teach. The teachers have have worked very hard over the years to not just teach something for the sake of teaching it, so you can check it off. Well, that's done, we can move on. In Common Core, and the way that we feel is that learning has to be a depth of knowledge. If you're going into not just throwing out, well, this is a graph, and this is how you do a graph. But to go into why are we doing it, how are we this in your life down the road, either today or down the road, so that they make this connection of their learning to real life things. If you're never going to use something in your life, why not learn it? I mean, that's my philosophy. So if you're going to learn it well enough so that you can use it. There's a lot of, in first grade, in math especially, there's a great amount of, we use all modalities for teaching, and that's also appreciating that all of your children and all children learn differently. Some children learn basically better, they're audio learners, they've got to hear it, they've got to hear it over and over again. Some children are visual learners, they've got to see it. Or some are tactile, they've got to touch it. We incorporate all of this into our learning and our teaching, so that every child has an opportunity to learn the best they can with the learning tools that they've been given. Learning, if you teach in this depth of knowledge way, learning becomes more fun, because the children are naturally more involved in the learning process. One thing that I ask you to do next year is when your child gets home from school is to ask them, tell me something that you learned or something you did in school today. And nothing, that's not acceptable. Absolutely explore with them what they are doing and become a participant in it. The other things that we would ask you to do every day is to make sure that your child's at school on time. There's always extenuating circumstances, but for the most part, they absolutely need to be in the line on the yard at 8:10 when that first bell rings. Read with your child every single day, or ask grandma or grandpa or the neighbor or an older sibling to do that. It's so important that they learn this fluency of reading. And by fluency, I mean we read as we speak. The reading sounds exactly the same way that you speak. But not just read, ask your children lots of questions about, not just the main idea, what's the story about, but go into detail about who, what, where, how, those kinds of questions. This is what I'm talking about when I say depth of knowledge. It's no longer this surface learning. It's going to get you okay through life, but it is going to be rigorous enough to meet the challenges I know you all want for your children. And that's pretty much universal, that we all want these children to have the opportunity to go to college successfully. And we talk about it in my room almost every day. And I say to them, well, it's not, are you going to college? We just have to decide where you're going. And that's the light that I put their futures in for them. I'm going to pass out a handout that I did for you. And I also wanted to tell you that we are very, very fortunate in this school to have you and the Molly Kaplans of the world who will be president of Friends, because of you and Friends and the PTA, which you all need to get involved in and support, and I know most of you do. Your first grade children will have enrichment experiences that very few children get in school. We have an amazing science program. We teach science, but we have hands-on science with Mr. Ben and all of the experiments and things like that. And we have computer lab. We have hands-on gardening in first grade with a master gardener, which goes along with our science, and the kids love this. And we grow everything from seeds, and we grow it, and we tend it, and we take care of the bugs and all the issues, and then we eat it. And so it's great fun to have that. We also have art opportunities, wonderful art opportunities, and in different areas of art, not just visual arts, but performing arts too. We have a great PE program, as we call it, with the coaches from STAR, and they're amazing. And all of these are funded, in addition to other things, from Friends. So we say thank you to those who keep Friends going, and thank you to all of you who participate in that. It's a wonderful gift you're giving to your children. So I'm going to let you look at that, and I didn't stand here horrible on it. Oh, I did want to show you this. When I talked about I didn't want to scare you. I think I brought it. Here it is. Okay, this, and you can go online and go to California Common Core and type that in Google or whatever, and you can find everything you want to know and more. If you feel you need a list of the standards, you can do that. Have a lot of paper in your printer though. So this right here right here, are the math first grade standards for first grade. That's it, right here. There you go. The language arts ones that includes listening, speaking, reading, and writing are about 4 times this. But I also encourage you, if you do go on and you do look at the standards, read them carefully when they describe them, because it's really interesting how they've done this analysis, if there's an analysis with it. Many times the crucial part of the standard is way down at the bottom. So just read the top. I have to talk to some teachers about that. I just can't read the top line because at the bottom there's a lot more down there. And yeah, I think that's all I want to formally cover. So if you want to look at that or you have any questions for me, oh, I do want to say one thing about the topic. I apologize that the first grade high frequency word list must be really important because it's there twice. And somehow, when it was a copy, it ended up being printed twice. But you have it twice, because these words are critical. I hope you'll read the letter on the back that explains how important those words are. I hope all of your children absolutely know all of their kindergarten sight words. And when I wrote here, it is expected. It is expected. Yeah, we don't go back and make this up. It's expected that your children will come in and they know all these words. Okay? So there's some information about the curriculum on the front. And on the next page, and I hope no one takes offense at the do's and don'ts, but I always found these to be helpful in my different school, so I put those together for you. So there you have it. Yeah.
Was there anything else that was supposed to be on the...
No, there wasn't. But I can find something if you want me to find something. Do you have any questions or thoughts? Yes.
Just a minor question.
Sure.
But as kindergarten, sometimes we certain hours of letters that they need first.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to work on it.
No. Yeah, it's very developmental. By the end of first grade, we're continuing to see some patterns. You know, we'll take a better look at it again. And generally speaking, any of your children who reverse letters, especially D's and T's and those type of things, the tummy letters, those are generally always reversed, and it's not an issue at all. It is very developmental. The same thing with some of your children who have speech issues that you might be concerned about. And I'm talking about articulation issues, where they lisp, where they, things like that. Most of that is very developmental. We have an outstanding speech specialist connected to our school, and if we feel that it's more than that, or you do, we can certainly have her do an informal evaluation, and generally she will get back and explain exactly developmentally what's going on. That doesn't mean that it never happens, that some of those things that we feel are developmental need some assistance in the future, so we keep a good eye on those. Sure, yeah, absolutely. It's boring. It's about 7 hours a night. Get ready for it. We made a big change in first grade. Let's see, last year. And I have to admit to this. I suggested this change because I saw part of my grandchildren grew up in my family lived up in Napa. And my grandson came home with this homework packet. And I was so impressed because previously we had just, run off all this stuff and made this homework packet. And more is not good. Very rarely is more, other than maybe money. More is not good. And so it's just this thing of all this stuff, and what are we doing? So we really hold it down, and homework consists of weekly spelling words, a poem of the week, which the children are expected to memorize. And we do that because one of the things that most of the children in first grade struggle with most is speaking. Speaking in clear, coherent sentences, which leads me to this. Please, speak to your children in clear, coherent sentences. Don't allow them to give you one-word answers. The other thing, I'll piggyback on you, is the whole listening issue. It would be wonderful. I know this is almost blasphemy to say this, but all of your children need to be able to listen and respond the first time. And we really work on that. It is so paramount disruptive to everyone, and it slows everything down. So the listening is key to learning. You want to check and see how well that's going at home, run a little test with your children. Don't be afraid to give them a two-step direction as an example. Johnny, could you please go get me 4 forks out of the door and put them on the table? And then wait a second and say, what did I just ask you to do? Monitor how much they're actually listening to you. They need to take the time, no matter what they're involved in. And I tell my class, and this might sound horrible, but I say, the second you hear my voice, I don't care what you're doing, I'm talking to you, you need to stop. You need to stop and you need to turn to me so I know that you're listening. The second you hear my voice. And you're more important than I am, so they should be doing that for you. Period. As far as TV and computers and Game Boys and tablets and everything else, you really have to limit that. And I know we like to say, well, it's so educational. And it can be, and I don't deny that at all. However, we are finding that children who spend a great deal of time on a computer, and I don't care what they're doing, how educational you might think it is, they have a very difficult time using their own imaginations, their own. The only thing that's coming out is superheroes. When you say a child, you have a free write, and you can do a picture to go with it, and by that you can pick any topic you want. You know, it gets a little scary when a child picks over and over again some superhero in this world that's out there that has nothing to do with anything else. And that's all they want to talk about. So, computers are wonderful. I have every type. I have an iPad, I have an iPhone, I have a laptop, I have a PC, I have every kind of computer, and I know how to use them all. But more is not better when it comes to that. So please monitor it. And when you're in the car, I know it's really easy to have but they're missing the whole world around them. You know, you pay to go on these wonderful trips and you take days off, and half the time that you're traveling, what are they doing? And what are you doing? So I just encourage you, remember, this world is out there. The more life experience that your children bring into first grade, the better I can teach them. And I'm not talking life experience of trips to Paris. I'm talking about conversations, taking a walk, going to the park, talking about things, because life experience is the hook that I can get into any child to help them relate to what it is I'm trying to teach. So, do those, you know, this time is going to, some of you know, this time is going to go by so fast. You blink, and your children are going to be in high school, graduating from high school. So take this time. You don't have to buy expensive toys. Get on the ground. You don't have to buy expensive anything. Throw some beans on the floor and make pictures out of them and talk to each other. That's the greatest gift that you can give your first grader, is to talk to your child and listen to them. Let them speak to you. I'll tell you how fast it goes. Not only are your children going to graduate, my oldest grandson is graduating from high school this year. That just blows me away, because I remember when my children were your children's age. Anything else? Sure.
Regarding reading, I noticed that there's certain attitudes sometimes that there is a, don't worry, your child will get there.
I'm not sure exactly how they came along. Absolutely no. First grade, we don't. Children come into first grade with all kinds of reading abilities and some pre-reading abilities. Our job in first grade is every child leaves first grade reading fluently. With comprehension and accuracy. Just not able to say words and say them nicely, that you understand what you're reading. That is a massive first grade standard. That is the most important. Not only that you can read, but that you can retell stories, that you can tell main events, you can tell details, you can graph them, you understand. why stories happened or why this character was in the story and why didn't they put this character in the story. This is the kind of conversational level that we're at in first grade. So as far as the reading, they absolutely should know all of their sounds. I'm talking minimum. All of the sounds as far as consonants and short vowels. All of them. If a child coming to kindergarten, coming into first grade, if a child coming into first grade does not know those sounds, they said, we hit the ground running. We go back and we review, but it's quickly because it's assumed it has to be. They know these sounds. Then we're getting into special spellings and the digraphs and the THs and all of those things that they'll learn in first grade. At the same time, they're learning to read more and more and more words. So the more you read with your child, and a child learns to read by seeing words. So when you're reading, to your child or with your child, they should kind of be tracking the words as they're reading, so they see that. If a child doesn't know a word, don't let them guess. Because nothing makes any sense. They really, and they're these happy little campers, and they're reading along, and nothing makes any sense, and everybody's happy they're reading it. No, they're not. So if they don't know a word, tell them. As they get into first grade, and if it's, as we say, like CBC words, or this list of words that they should already know. The problem with this list of words is high frequency words, and I probably tell you this you already know, but most of these words here, first of all, the words we use the most in the English language. That's why they're called high frequency sight words. The other thing is, most of them have completely irregular spellings. They don't go to any of the rules, all the rules we learn, well, these are the ones that don't. And so you can't sound these words out. We use them so often that if you don't know them when you're reading, and you have to stop every single time you see one of these words, you get nothing. So read to your children. Read with them. Even simple stories start out right away. If they're not reading to you yet, they need to be reading to you. Simple. In my class, I have a big library that I've developed over the years. And children are always welcome to take home books. We have a great library here that they can take home books. If any of you need help with where do you think my child is, you can come ask me, or you can come ask your child's teacher, and we'll help you with that. But no. Reading doesn't come in second grade. No. Reading comes in first grade, and every child in my class, and I speak for the other 3 classes too, regardless if English was their first language, second language, third language, every child in my class right now is reading fluently. There's some that are probably reading, and I can say this without blinking an eye, at about a 5th grade level right now. And there's others who are everywhere in between, but every single one of them is fluently reading. And when they don't know a word, we don't guess, we blend it, we decode it, period. There is no choice, and you do that out loud so that you can hear the sound. You can't hear the sounds you're saying when your children are reading. If they can't hear those sounds, the blending's doing them no good. For instance, jump. If you have a child who in their head's trying to get this, but the minute, and if they say it rather quickly, they say the sound, they hear the word, and then they say the word. So, those are little clues too. I want to assure you that if any of you have anything that you need to talk about or visit about, please don't hesitate to come and see us next year. Also, if something happens at home, we don't want to butt into your business. But generally speaking, if something has happened at home that's impacting your child at home or outside of school, it's impacting your child at school too. So if there's things you would like to share with us, which of course would be in confidence, so that we can assist your child have the best opportunity for a good day every day. Yes, you.
Can we talk about class size and in first grade compared to kindergarten and teacher aides, if there are any?
We have the most wonderful aide on the face of the earth. And Ms. Puka Sanchez is strictly first grade. And she is such a huge help to all of us. We've known her, I have known her, she was my aide the first day I taught here 15 years ago. So I've known her forever. She hasn't always been my aide, and I've been sad when she hasn't been. But she is exclusive to the first grade. So we have her, the four of us have her a part of each day. We also have Miss Anna, who is in kindergarten, and we have her one afternoon, she rotates, so that's in the afternoons. So we have, we're very blessed in that area. Class size, this size, it can change. Last year at this time, I had 29 first graders. This year at this time, I have 20. So it's kind of all over the place. We anticipate that next year in first grade, it won't be 20 and it certainly won't be 29. I would imagine closer to 24. Yeah, closer to 24, which is very, very, very doable. You know, what is the ideal? In all honesty, it's 20. That's the ideal. And when we had that, it was fabulous. But we are very, more than capable of 24. And then, as I said, last year, and the children did great. It's hard on us, but they did well. So, but I anticipate that the first grades next year will be around 24. Yes. So the question is, how do you accommodate and modify children at different reading levels? Well, pretty much everything that we teach, children are at different levels. If I have 20 children in my class this year, I have 20 different levels. I mean, that's just teaching. So you are able to, first of all, children who are struggling, we have some special resource assistance with, thanks to friends again. So, you know, really, really, really struggling coming in, and we appreciate that. We are able, as teachers, because we do it every minute of every day, to teach to the needs of each particular children. Some children will fall within a kind of a natural group, and you know, well, they kind of need this special help in this area. Other children might need it in a different area. And we do a lot of whole group instruction, but we do a lot of small group instruction too, where we have the children grouped, and the groups are changing. You know, they're not, well, I'm probably thinking, and I hope you're not, but you might be. When we were growing up, okay, we have Miss whatever's room, and in her room we have the
gold readers.
we have the gold group. We have the gold group, but
We have the bluebirds.
Ha! We have the silver group. We have the blue group. And then we got the red group. But nobody knows what those mean. Oh yes, they do. So I think we go out of our way absolutely not to do that. And because children are so interesting, a child who might be struggling in an area of reading very often is a whiz in math. So these groups are changing and crossing and moving. And so it prevents this pigeonholing, this label of what someone else might think about you, and we try really hard to do that. We also do a lot of pairing of students. I do in my room, and it's not always the top with the low. It's not that at all. But opportunities to work with each other. You know, your peers are a lot of times your best teachers. Your capable peer role models are amazing for helping children. So we use all types of grouping tools to make sure that we're doing everything we can to reach every student at the level that they're at and give them the help that they need. All right. Well, I'll see you all next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have questions before first grade begins, I am in room 7, and the other first grades are right around there by the garden. So we